Says we're live. And now we have the ticker going. Welcome everybody to a girl, a guy, and a movie, episode 33. Now we have the ticker going. Welcome everybody.
Good grief. Sorry.
It's okay.
I don't know how to stop that from doing it. I turn it all the way down and it still does it with
It's
no
all right.
volume.
It's okay.
I'm sorry.
I'm not upset. I'm laughing over here because I've done that so many times, Janet. It's just one of those things. Hey, Flighty. Hey, Six Nation 31 Kings. Looks like we've got the chat starting to fill up here. Everybody, Parrot Head.
Hope everybody had a wonderful weekend.
Did you have a good weekend, Janet? Was it pretty?
I sure did. It was busy. Very busy.
A man after my own heart, Six Nation 31 Kings, is wrangling 4 dogs for his aunt.
Oh, he's puppy sitting?
Yeah, he's got a tan husky pup from one of our farmer friends. Not former, farmer. One of their rural friends. Lady wanders in. Evening all. Evening at all. Parrot Head says hail. Janet,
Hello,
tonight
everybody.
we're going to talk about this film called The Last Starfighter from 1984. Did you see this in the theaters?
Oh, I don't remember. I think I might have saw it in the theater. I think I saw it in this theater the first time I saw it.
This movie is directed by the same guy, Nick Castle, that directed last week's film, Major Pain.
Really?
Yep.
That's right. We did talk about that. Okay. I was thinking, I don't know what I was thinking. I was thinking it was one of the actors we were talking about was in the movie, but
No.
yeah,
No,
I liked it. I mean, it was a very good, fun, relaxing family movie.
This movie has so much heart to it. And I don't want to get into that just yet, but this kind of comes like 7 years after the big explosion in sci-fi happened thanks to Star Wars. Star Wars came out, and I wasn't old enough to go to the theaters by myself because no 2-year-old should go to the theaters by themselves. But you had a bunch of sci-fi films come out within like 3 years of Star Wars, including Empire Strikes Back, of course. But Star Wars really invigorated the scene. And if you watch the special effects part of, or the special features of the DVD, and the backstory of this movie, these guys were doing renders of 3 X-Wing fighters on screen. No, Brooke. Somebody trying to call me. No. This movie had a sci-fi team or a special effects team that was huge in sci-fi, and they're a bunch of geeks and nerds. They're playing with mini mainframes, and they were able to do basically PlayStation 1 style graphics with this film.
Mm-hmm.
And they were showing it at like 20 frames a second to where your eye would notice it. It was about as smooth as what stop motion could get. And so the sci-fi, the director kind of threw his hands up after he heard the tech team talk about it a couple times. And he's like, listen, we're going to do principled photography. While we're doing that, you guys figure out how you're going to do this movie. Here's what I want. And that was it. He didn't really leave a lot of like wiggle room, because the tech team said, we can't do it. We can't do it. We can't do it. We have all the models. We could do all this. We could model everything up. We could get all the models together and do all the wires and do everything just like Star Wars did. Nick Castle and his team were adamant, we are not going to do that. We are already looking at 6 months from now. We want to have a finished product ready to get distributed and get ready for mass viewing. And they fought for about a half hour. And so every day while this movie was being shot, the tech team, the nerd crew, is running around, and there would be a new thing that would happen because they would be in their room with a bunch of cubicles, and one guy would have a eureka moment. Hey, I figured out how to do light sourcing at multiple locations off of a 3D rendered object. Now, mind you, that's just basically like having this character here and having a couple light sources, one on the dagger, one on the other Crambit over here, one on their eyes, and being able to see all the shadows fall from that.
Mm-hmm.
Typical, pretty easy stuff to do with regular special effects when you have a large enough model and you can have the time to craft it. But with CGI, they weren't doing that. They were pioneering this. They pioneered this movie. They this really is not as much of a movie as it is a hint of what was to come. So with me getting finished with my I love the CGI in this movie. I really do. It looks dated, but I love it. Um, I'll let you go ahead and talk, Janet, because
Okay. Well,
oh,
I when I watch these movies, when I know they're from, years and years ago, I try not to put focus so much on the CGI aspects of it, or the dated things, unless it's something that takes away from the movie itself, because when a person's watching it, they're knowing that it's coming from whatever year it came from. So
mhm,
when I look at a movie and I try to dissect it a little bit, I try to take away from editing, music, acting, or the script, things like that, to downgrade a movie. Not so much whether what the technical ability was. Like when we watch The Thing and how they use their creative mind to melt the plastic bag and have the lettering behind for the opening scene that said The Thing,
yes,
little creative technical things like that. So watching this, if it was somebody who had never watched a movie from that time in the 1980s, early 80s, they're gonna, like a kid today, a young 12-year-old boy or whatever that watched it now, he's going to notice some of this stuff not being as realistic as it was today, if he was to watch a movie made today. But I don't think that the movie overall takes away from what a 12-year-old or a person watching it that has an open mind about a sci-fi type movie. And even though the game that the guy played in the movie to end up being picked to become the Starfighter um, was an arcade game, we don't have actual as many as arcades as we used to attract kids to them, unless you go to specific arcade parks, which there have lots of. Like in Colorado Springs, there's a nice little one up in the little mountains area, and it's huge,
yeah,
and it's nothing but like a small little area with arcades just all over the place with all these older games and stuff in it to play, and it's always packed every time I've ever went. Um, but today they play them at home. They play them on their Xbox or PlayStation, their Nintendo, whatever it is that they have. But the concept is the same. And games like Roblox and Space Invaders and Pac-Man and all that is really popular again. It's starting to be more and more popular. So I think any child or young person or even an adult would get a kick out of this movie if they haven't seen it before. And I don't think the graphics or the CGI or any of that part of it would take away from the overall storyline or uh, drawing you in to the character and putting yourself in the place of the Starfighter. Uh, because if you're a gamer, I think you could fit right into it. that
And
concept.
that's where I'm sitting at with this movie. I think because it's such a big part of my life, the gaming aspect, tabletop
Hmm.
computers, whatever. I
Yeah.
think I think this movie really spoke to me when I was a kid, even though I was 9 when this movie came out, and we had like that was one of the best years for movies because if you just go to 1984 on IMDb, you see you've got The Karate Kid, this film, and there's a few other really just huge. I want to say that was the year that Temple of Doom came out too. A bunch of really huge films just came out and smackarooed in the theaters and make some great money. I mean, huge money that if you mention them today, people are going to be like, "Oh my god, 1984 was great." Yes, 1984, 1989, and 1994 are the three movie years that I could sit on and I could suckle on those movie boobs and talk about how great those movie boobs. Yes, Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters was
Yeah.
a 1984 film. God, how can I forget that? Um,
Yeah,
it-
there
the-
was a lot of movies in the 80s, music and movies. It seemed like there was just tons of great writers, when it came to movies, came to TV shows. I mean, you had what? What was the one? The one with the car that talked named Kit?
yeah, Knight Rider.
Knight Rider. I mean, there was just tons. It just seemed like everywhere were something great was entertainment wise, music, movies, and TV all over the place. And then it just slowly, by the end of the 90s, it seemed like the really good, unique stuff was getting, fewer and fewer and fewer really great shows and TV and movies and music to me. Um, I mean, you still have them, here and
Yeah.
there, but it's just not the same. It's like they started taking out things that they thought were offensive or they didn't agree with. And instead of sticking with what did well because of the people like us watching it, they started going with whatever the executive said was best
Mm.
instead of listening to the people that buy the tickets.
I'll
that
just
that's the direction that I think we started going because great movies like this, I don't even think they'd make it today.
I'll just give you a rundown, and these guys in chat are chat starting to light up here, talking about the '80s films being the best, and I agree. I I could happily sit and just watch '80s films all week long, all year long. Um, in '84, number 10 was Splash. Number
Yeah, that was
9,
really good.
Splash was great. Star
Mhm,
Trek 3: The Search for Spock.
mhm.
Romancing the Stone, number 8.
Oh, I
Oh,
forgot about that one.
yeah, I got to go back to number 9. Star Trek 3. A Star Trek movie is in the top 10. Did we not embrace how geeky people we had made it as a culture? Ah, we had Footloose, which Star Lord would be going nuts and behind me if he was here. Police Academy,
Mhm,
number 6. Number 5 was the Karate Kid. Number 4 was the Joe Dante classic Gremlins. Number
mhm.
3 was Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Number 2 was Ghostbusters. And edging out Ghostbusters by $5 million in the box office gross is Beverly Hills Cop.
Oh, it was excellent. That was an excellent movie too. And
I
what
think
year
it
was
won
this?
1984.
1984. Wow, those are all good movies.
Oh, so I
And they were
mean,
all blockbusters?
those were the top 10 films of 1984.
Okay.
I just read those
Wow.
off. Number 9, I still am stumbling over Star Trek 3 being a number 9 top grossing film. I'm kind of incredulous on it. Hey, Jedi Bill, how you doing, sir? Lady says Jewel of the Nile. That was great. That came out just a couple years later, and I
Um,
remember.
when did War of the Roses come out?
Oh,
Was that in the 80s or
yep.
in the 90s?
I think that was the '80s.
Yeah, because you had the other one. What was the one with Jessica Rabbit in it?
Well, that you mean Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Yeah, that movie.
Yeah.
When did and then you had like the Ace Ventura Pet Detective. There
War of the
was tons of
Roses was
comedies, uh,
89.
musicals. There was just seemed like a lot of really, a good genre or war movies. It was just there were so many writers being able to have their scripts made into really good um, work, movies, entertainment. It was actual entertainment. Unlike what we have to, you're scraping the bottom of the barrel most of the time nowadays just to find something that you would want to see twice. That to me, that's one of the ways you can tell whether it's a movie that you want to see more than once. Or that you go home and you tell everybody, "Oh my God, that movie was so good, you got to go see it." Like they did Maverick. Now, see, didn't Maverick came out and everyone wanted to see it because everybody was wanting to go see it again, take their friends or go with someone else to see it because it was so good. How often do you have we had that in the last few years? You
Uh,
think about it, not very often because
no.
it's lacking. We're lacking in creativity, overall um, enjoyment of bringing in people that want to buy a ticket and actually sit down. And they make extra money because a person pays for the ticket to watch the movie, but they're also buying a drink, some snacks, to sit and enjoy themselves. And you don't make money off the food if nobody's in the seat.
No. That's for sure.
So it hurts.
Time Bandits was 1981, and what a fantastic. We'll have to watch that soon.
I don't think I saw that one.
What?
I don't think I saw Time Bandits. What?
Okay. We'll have to
You have to
accelerate
tell me
that.
about it later. But yeah, I thought this movie had um, it was so quirky. It had that quirky young romance, and it had um, hero had the hero aspect to it, not just with the young character, but also with his pilot, the one who
Rick?
flies, and also with the gentleman that finds him, puts the game out, and thinks his little brother's the one that won the game, right? Um, and it goes and realizes he's really young. But the thing is the little brother is going to be the next one that becomes a pilot, as you can tell, because you can tell he's ready to standing in front of that machine up on a box so he can reach it. I just thought the whole thing was just really, really good. The young boy they got to play the little brother was just adorable.
She's not talking about Maverick 2022. She's talking about Maverick. Isn't that James Garner?
No, I'm talking about the new movie that came out this year. Wasn't it this
Top
year?
Gun Maverick? My bad.
Maverick?
Yeah.
Wasn't it called Maverick?
Yeah, Top Gun Maverick, but
Yeah.
I thought you were
Well,
talking about the cowboy film Maverick. My bad.
yeah, that was good. When it came out, but no, this was I was talking about this that there's still good movies coming out. It's just that it's like a long dry spells in between movies that you would want to go to twice or more and take other people and tell them how good it was by word of mouth. It's just rare that we even have that anymore. It's like you go, like that. This is just not something you want to tell people to go to see. It's just not very much out there. That's what I meant.
I apologize.
It's okay.
Didn't mean to upset my audience if I did, but
Yeah, Top Gun was great. And everyone wanted a sequel, and it took a long time to get it. But when we got it, we were all like, wow, it was freaking phenomenal. Everyone was just pumped up to go see it. And then when they saw it, they left happy that they went to see it, and then were ready to go see it again. That's just a rarity today. Tell me how many other movies you've seen in the last 2 years that made you feel that way. Think about it. Not many.
I've watched Top Gun Maverick 3 times.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
It's a fantastic film. I'm not a real big Tom Cruise fan.
Oh,
but
neither am I.
There's 2 films of his that I think are now three that are pretty much must see because I think Edge of Tomorrow is probably the finest sci-fi we've had for a long time, and that was 2014. Has Tom Cruise, Emily Blunt, and Bill Paxton, among others. And then you have Top Gun from 1986, which needs no introduction. That's just a fantastic film. And then
Yeah.
Top Gun Maverick, which he actually isn't like the huge big star. He is a big star, but he doesn't act like a big swinging dick. That little 5'6" or 5'4" tall man acts like a mentor, and that's where he should be. Like this is we finally get a Tom Cruise film where he's acting the way he should.
Well, it seemed to me that he was willing to pass the baton
Yeah.
with his acting. I mean, like I don't know what the word is. Is that he was he
Not in the
seemed
limelight.
okay with stepping down as the top gun, basically,
Yeah. Yes.
and handing the reins to the next person. But you know, I didn't expect that, but I was that even made it even more impressive to me. The fact that he seemed believable as somebody that wasn't, his head wasn't so big it wouldn't fit through the door.
Flady says the last movie I was in theaters to watch was the first new Star Wars film. It made me so disgusted. I've not been to the movie since.
Yeah, see, a lot of people feel that way.
Yeah, I fell asleep during the fucking lightsaber battle. That's where I'm at with that, and
Well, honestly, I didn't even go see it. Two or three people went to see it that I trust, and they said they thought it sucked. So I didn't even waste my money, and I'm thankful I didn't, because to me, every time I pay for money, my hard-earned money to go see something, um, hoping that it's better than what someone told me it was going to be, it dashes my overall view of the series, especially if it's something that has to do with Marvel or has to do with Star Wars, Star Trek, anything like that. I just have a hard time getting past it. Like some of the new TV series that are out right now having to do with Star Trek. I have not even bothered to even turn on because it's going to tarnish my love of what I have left of Star Trek. So I just don't do it.
yeah. So this movie comes out, and we have a young man who he's kind of a handyman at a trailer court, and this movie felt when I first watched it, I felt like I was watching a love letter to Star Wars because I could see where somebody's like, we're going to make Star Wars in a California trailer court community. Is that kind of how you felt?
Well, I thought that I thought it was the simplicity of using a small little trailer park, okay, with not even real trailers. Okay, these were more RVs. This was like an RV park where
Yes.
people would drive their RV here and stay a few months, and then you go somewhere else and go somewhere else. But this one, the people were so pitiful that they parked their RVs and they never left, for either because they didn't have the money or um, personal reasons that they didn't leave. I just thought that was kind of funny with the thing because it was very simplistic and very cheap, a very cheap way of being able to have a neighborhood without actually having to have a neighborhood. You know what I mean? With the groups of people. And they didn't have to have a lot of kids because most of the people in the RVs were grown-ups.
Mm-hmm.
So you had a lot of people of retirement age in it, which today you don't normally see in trailer parks. In real trailer parks, it's mostly family aged people in them, at least from all the ones that I've seen. The RV parks today are more people with money, people that are either on vacation or they're retired and they're traveling. And an RV can cost anywhere up to $300,000. So you're not going to see someone parking an RV and living in it. They're going to be traveling or going from one place to another because they're going to stay someplace where it's nice, where it's warm, things like that. But I thought the simplicity of uh, knowing that this is from the 80s, it just seemed kind of campy, but I liked it. It was, I don't know, I don't know the word that I'm trying to think of.
The trailer park, doesn't it kind of feel like it's almost like a Broadway musical to you without the music?
Well, kinda. It just seemed okay. Yeah, it seemed like a play, like if they were going to do it on stage. To
Yeah.
me, the simpleness of it, like didn't even have to have the whole RV. It was like just having the fronts of all the RVs out and people sitting around in their lawn chairs and stuff in front of them. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but I
Makes
just love that. I just thought the it was almost like they took a cartoon comic book and brought it to life. You know what I mean? Without being a cartoon, but they made a movie based off of a cartoon or something to me. It was very playful. Um, and I don't know. And cheesy kind of. I just really liked it. I thought that part of it was really cute. You got a mom and her two boys, a teenage boy. I think they were in high school or just out of high school, and then you had the youngest brother that's in mischief and reading Playboy magazine, and stuff like that. I just thought it was really cute. That
He
part was
knew
really
which episode, or he knew which issue was his favorite. That was the part that made me laugh.
Yeah, I thought that was funny, and the fact that he went straight to the centerfold of the magazines, I thought was cute too.
Well, that was pretty authentic.
Yeah, he was very the little brother. I just thought he was just uh, adorable. I mean, he stole every scene he was in. He was facial expressions. He's very overly dramatic, in all his acting parts. I just thought he was just a ham. I don't even know. Did he go on to make more movies or something? I don't know who he is. I don't know what
Uh,
his name is,
the
but
young
oh, he
boy,
was a cutie.
the young
I
boy was called Chris Abear if he's Cajun, or Hebert if he's not Cajun. But he was in, looks like, some after school specials. Last Starfighter was his big role. He was in a young Alex role for the Family Ties episodes, two of those.
Oh,
Running,
okay.
he
Yeah.
played in Invaders from Mars, which is a great movie. And then let's see, he did some Murder She Wrote, Small Wonder, Dance Till Dawn. His last role was Waiting for Mo, as he played a guy named Chad. Uh, Sound department. Okay, he did in 2002 Stan Lee's Mutants, Monsters, and Marvels as a sound mixer. So he was
Hmm.
still in business. But I think he's kind of gone independent because he's dropped off the face of the earth.
Yeah, he didn't seem to do. I I I didn't I remembered him when I saw him again in this movie, but I don't remember him from anything else. Considering I thought he was a really good, cute little actor in this movie. I just thought that as good as and rambunctious and stuff as he was, that he would definitely have went on to make more movies. But maybe he just wasn't interested in it. I mean, some kids do a movie like the boy that was in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the little blonde
Mhm.
boy that played Charlie. I
Yes.
don't think he went on to make more movies either. It wasn't, he just decided it wasn't what he wanted. It took away from his life and he thought it was too much work. So he just went on to
Do other things.
other things. And, that's great. But I just thought he was really, really adorable in this movie.
All right, Matt Barninger for $4.99 says Alex Rogan versus a Kodan Armada. Great film. I that is succinctly gives the entire plot synopsis for this movie. Fantastic. That's almost haiku. Damn it! No, it's not. It could be. Oh well.
Yeah,
Matt.
what was one thing that I thought was really funny that I forgot about was when I first started watching this again. I remembered him sitting in it when he realized what was going on when they were handing him his uniform and stuff. He still wasn't comprehending exactly why he was brought there because the guy just wanted to get his cash and leave. He didn't care what happened to
No.
the person he was bringing there to get the money that he wanted. But the thing is, when the kid realized it and he's sitting there with all these other starfighters already dressed and ready to go, and he's realizing that, he's thinking he's realizing, he's starting to comprehend what's going on. The thing is that when the bad guys end up taking out the place, okay, and they're all gone, and I realized that he was the last one, even though the name of the movie is The Last Starfighter. It didn't connect with me again when I was watching it until I went, oh my God, he's the only one left. How are they going to do this? How are they, I'm starting to think about it now because I was like, I don't know why that totally just went, just right over my head. I totally forgot about him doing it alone. And that's why I thought every little boy would want to be the hero, to be able to play the video game and have it come to be real, turn out to be realistic, a real game coming to life. And that was the childlike quality thing that I thought that bounced out at me when that realization popped in my head. Oh my God, he's all by himself. He's all alone. And the guy that was his pilot for the ship, when he was trying to get him to realize that not to go back home, and then letting him have that small little time when they see the 4 ships that come, the scouts or whatever, to take them out, and letting him have a taste of what it was like to actually be in a living game, basically. And that's when he realized that, I can do this, whether I make it or not, I'm going to try to do it. So he became a man, that fast, when it sunk in that this was real. It's not a game anymore. So I thought that was
He really does get cold feet real fast.
well, he's a kid.
Yeah, I mean, he's just like barely 18, maybe, and you see this if you ever sign up for the military, you go to this place called MEPS, Military Enlisted Processing Station. There's a few of them around the country, maybe 6, maybe a dozen, I don't know, but you go there and it's like your place. You go and they do an exam, they see if you can bend over, they see if your joints work, they watch you naked in a room of other men squatting down, and they want to hear your knees when you stand up real fast. Well, when you're 18, your knees are silenced. It's great. When you're 47, it's snap, crackle, pop. But you see all these kids going to MEPS, and they're like, oh, rah, 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 I'm going to go kill a bunch of dudes, And you get to MEPS, and all of a sudden it hits you. Like, I'm going off to possibly get a uniform and die. And then some kids are like, ah! And they get like real cold feet. I'm gay. I just smoke crack. I just, they out come the excuses. Out come they're like, I need to go home. I'm really scared about this. And you hear this shit.
Mm-hmm.
Now Rogan kind of does this. And when I was 18 at a MEPS, I watched a guy kind of like do the same Alex Roganism where he's like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this, And, you have these recruiters there that, well, they're no longer recruiters. They're the processing guys. And this is their joy. They've done, last thing I heard in MEPS was Candlebox so far behind. Man, yeah, yeah, you have these guys that their military careers are various things, and like they'll do a few stations on. I'll just say, a Navy guy. He's a sailor. He goes off to a ship for a few years. He comes to land for maybe 1 or 2 years. He'll go off to 2 or 3 ships in a row, and he gets a green. After about 8 years, the Navy stops throwing you in bad places. If you've been a good sailor, they say, "What do you want to do?" And
Yeah,
he's
if
like,
you're lucky.
if you're lucky,
Yeah.
and if you suck the right dick, we don't kick it around here. We say things. Um, they give you what you want, and a
Mhm,
lot of guys are like, I want to be a recruiter, and so they send these recruiters to be off to car salesmanship school,
mhm.
and they learn how to say all the right things and how to counter stupid people and how to just get you to sign a dotted line and get you shoved off in a box off to whatever boot camp you're going to. We had three of them back when I was going in, and when I got out, there was only one. There's only one boot camp now, and it's in the worst place in the world. It's in Chicago. Well, these guys get to be recruiters, and for like 2 years, or maybe four if you're lucky, but for 2 years, you're pretty much there shoving 18-year-old kids in buses and good luck, kids. Don't get killed. If you do, make sure you sign mom up for a lot of insurance money. And then, if you're still a good person with your military, if you did the numbers, if you did everything right, if you have everything, all your boxes are checked, the military will give you another good boy award. You did good. Where do you want to go now? Because once you do recruiting and you've made the numbers right, they want to do more with you. And if you're a complete sardonic bastard, you're like, I want to go to MEPS and see these little shit faces and just peck on keys all day and process them and watch them cry as they're going off to boot camp. Because that's the way a lot of military guys I know that did the rotation. You do the boot camp, you do a station at MEPS, and then the final thing, if you're a real good asshole and you're in physically fit shape for the most part, you go to be a company commander. Other services call them a drill instructor. But you have that's the dream gig. If you do well in the Navy between years 8 to 14 of your service time, you get to do that. That's what you want to do. And everybody I knew that was a lifer kept on trying to harp on me. Come on, you got to do this. Come on, come on, come on. Get in it. Go active. Do the whole thing. It's only 20 fucking years. And I'm like, no, no. And now I regret this decision. I could be making money right now
Well,
on
one thing
retiring.
I kept popping in my head now, this time I watched it,
Okay.
was the assassin. Remember when the
Yes.
guy showed up later?
Mhm.
The head when he went in front of the machine and it transformed as what he did look like when he was walking up there, and then all of a sudden he had that big head. It reminded me of one of the heads I remember in the actual Star Wars movie.
He looks like three Yees from I think Return of the no, it was the original series, original Star Wars, I think.
I thought it was in the original when,
Yeah,
it was from, like, it
Cantina.
was like a fish person or something, and he had I don't know, I'd have to go back and watch it, but that as soon as he transformed, that's the first thing that popped in my head. It's like, I've seen this alien before in Star Wars. It was like they reused a costume or prosthetics or whatever, a mask or whatever it was from the original Star Wars to me. Now I could be wrong, but it really, really to me looked like that's where it came from. But I mean, I'm not 100%. But the alien, the when the it looked like the Lamborghini too, from Back to the Future
Mm-hmm.
vehicle that he
This
was
was
in.
before Back to the Future.
Yeah, I know, but the car that he was
Yeah.
in, seeing it now, looked like the same car that was used in Back to the Future. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So, to me, there was a lot of stuff that popped out here and there that reminded me of other movies that I've seen, like uh okay, you got the, what was his name again? The kid that was the Last Starfighter?
You mean
Lance?
Alex Rogan?
No, what was his name? The
Alex Rogan was Lance Guest's
Oh,
character.
okay, Alex. Okay, when Alex is, that's right. Alex is in the starship up there learning to get ready to just fight people. You had his drone or his AI, his robot,
Yeah.
okay, a synthetic robot trying to be a teenager and fill in the gap while he's gone. Or, and you never see his mother. I mean, it's like you see her briefly in the movie. So it's, I guess it's like a mom's work all the time. So they're never home with their kids, and their kids just do whatever they want. But the quirky stuff that this kid's having to do while he's uh, pretending to be him to fill in the gap while the other kid's off doing, fighting the galaxy war or whatever. That whole concept reminded me of like the guy that was in War Games, you know, the quirky,
Matthew Broderick.
yeah, Matthew Broderick's character from that. And you got him, and he's, you know, he's fixing his own head, his ear, because his ear is hearing buzzing sounds, you know, this
Mm.
little goofy things that he was doing as a typical teenager trying to do, like taking care of the girlfriend, doing the stuff around the house, you know, tinkering around and stuff. And then the date, you know, the date night that they had, and him trying to listen off in the distance on how to be a romantic or whatever, you know, all that was really funny. It's for the comic relief part of the actual movie. So you get to have the lead character playing two totally different people, basically, in the same movie. And I just thought that whole concept was pretty cute. What do you think about that?
Well, the beta unit was kind of like that was when they started to film that, they didn't realize what sort of like treasure that was. And like the first time you see it, really, Alex is in the DeLorean, we'll call it, and he shakes the
Mhm.
guy's hand that has that spark fly because they connect. And that's
Yeah.
how they can get his DNA. And nobody realizes that this thing's not quite finished forming up yet. We have almost a Critters moment. Well, more on that in a second. We'll tangent there next. But we have a Critters moment where like this guy makes it into his bedroom without his brother seeing his face, and he's moaning, going through pain, and finally, after he gets some peace and quiet, he pulls a blanket off, and you can see that his face is still trying to get the proper form and mold right.
Yeah.
And then when he finally is visible, and you're having him do all his Alexy things, he's not really good at it. And we'll get more on the appearance of him and the wig in a second, but he's very awkward. And he's
Yeah.
doing such a good job of playing not Alex. And that part of the movie really hit it off with the test audiences. And so they brought Lance Guest back for more shoots because they wanted to add like 3 or 4 more minutes to the movie of the parts that people really liked. And the beta unit scenes were a hit. And so Alex had already chopped his hair. He's getting ready for another film. And he's like, shit. So they find him the worst fitting wig they can. And that was why during some of the scenes in the movie, you have really bad hair Alex.
Well,
Because,
he just looked unkept. You know what I
yeah.
mean? So that fit really well because it didn't stand out like a sore thumb. He just looked like um disheveled all the time. Like
Yes.
like he didn't belong there, you know, but he also looked like a typical teenager because one thing I notice, okay, is because I have my own kids, and you go to school, it's say fifth grade, right? You got middle school, I think it's fifth and sixth grade.
Okay.
I think I'm pretty sure. Okay, so you go, you pull up to pick up your kid after school, and here come the girls. They come walking out, and they have makeup on, their hair is fixed, they got their little purse, and they're matching shoes to go with their shirt, and their jeans, and their shirts are tucked in, and they're just very uh, put together. And then here come the boys. Okay, fifth grade boys come walking out, and their shoestrings are not tied. Their shirts are all half hanging out. They're not buttoned straight. Their hair's a mess, and they're raggedy looking. They're all disheveled. They're like mismatched. Like they're not yet to the point where they actually put effort into how they look. They're not old enough to wear cologne yet. They're not shaving. They don't hardly comb their hair. They probably don't even brush their teeth most of the time. And they're not interested in girls yet. Okay.
No.
Because as soon as the hormones start to kick in and their voices start to change, that's when all of a sudden you see their hair's combed, their shirts are tucked in. And it happens miraculously the next year. But it's funny because the girls seem to get it sooner than the boys do. And you can only see that when you see mass quantities, or whatever you want to call it, of that age group all together, fifth and sixth graders, and you put them in an auditorium and you just let them walk around and look at them, and you can see evolution right in front of you. And that's what why I think so many young people connect with the disheveled Alex's character of even the girlfriend. That's one of the things that the girlfriend that's in this movie, her reaction to him, when he's acting all quirky and weird, like when she's laying on the ground on her stomach out at the cave. I guess they're out at the cave and with their friend on the double date.
Yep.
And
The orgy date.
Yeah, whatever. It was a makeout date or whatever, to go to the cave and make out, and have fun by a fire and whatever. And he knows she's mad at him, but not realizing it's not really him. He's the beta unit. So he's trying to console her, but he doesn't know how. He's very quirky about everything and how he handles it. So he's listening to the other couple, I guess, that they came with, and he's saying some things, and you see her expression, her facial expression gets all like how she's kind of liking his quirky nerd quality. You know what I mean? It's
Yes.
kind of like making her go, oh, how sweet or how cute, because I do it. I'm a woman. I'm already grown, and I hear certain people say certain things, and it just makes me go, oh, I just want to give them a hug or whatever, because there's something adorable about someone who doesn't really comprehend what's going on, or you can tell they're not very good at it, and they're trying hard. They're making the extra effort because they want to impress you. And that whole scene between his girlfriend and the beta unit is, to me, one of my favorite scenes when it came to the quirky romance part of it, before she finds out that it's not really Alex, but she thinks it's him. And you can see that the way that she's listening to him and what he says and how it affects her. That whole scene, I just think, is really, really adorable and romantic, but not, dirty. It's family clean.
It's not dirty. It's wholesome.
It's wholesome, but it's cute, and it draws you in, and you I don't know. I think even a grown up. I mean, I'm a grown up, but sometimes I don't think like a grown up, I guess. But I was drawn in. I just thought it was adorable. And it just makes you think back about your first time with your first boyfriend, or your first, your first chance of connecting with somebody in a romantic way. I just thought it was really, really refreshing to me. It was refreshing to see young love, blossoming young love. I just thought that was sweet.
Well, they both are really good actors. I like I like the girl that played the girlfriend in here, and
No, so I'm gonna look her up real quick.
she's been in a few movies.
Catherine Mary Stewart.
Stewart. Yep, she's been in a few movies, and she's really good about bringing a good performance wherever she's acting at. I've never seen a bad performance by her. I with Lance Guest, I think he was in one of the Jaws movies right around the same time this came out, and I just got to say that this is, I hate to say it, but his life was kind of better before he did Jaws, and he should have stayed away from Jaws.
She was in Night of the Comet.
Yes,
Yeah, okay. She did good in that movie too. I liked it.
I love the Night of the Comet. That's one of those unsung cult classics. Um, but everything that happens on Earth, I didn't realize how much they spent time on Earth setting up everything for the final third act. I didn't realize how short the third act really is, because the first act it's kind of setting things up, and you get to meet Centauri, and once again we get to see Robert Preston, and fuck all, I haven't seen a damn movie of his since we watched Victor Victoria, and
Yeah.
I loved him in that. I thought that I I could totally see having a person like that. I would be one of those persons waiting tables at a diner in New York, and having him come in, and after about maybe 10 or 12 interactions, he'd probably not be such an asshole or hard ass to you, and he'd probably soften up and talk to you a bit, as a normal human being will after they start becoming your regular customer.
Yeah.
With and he always sells his part. He always brings it home, and it sucks that this was like his last big feature film, but he did so well with this, because you get to meet Centauri, and whenever they introduce Alex to the rest of the gang, and on the getting ready to fight off the Codon Armada,
Were you
they're,
talking about Greg?
yeah, not just Greg, but the other people, the other chief of staff folks over at the space station at the defense base.
Oh
They're like,
yeah, yeah.
use another sword and a stone test, did you, Centauri?
But yeah, and I thought that Robert Preston, because I like him. I loved him in Victor Victoria. He was just, my mom loved that movie, and I loved it. I got to watch it with my mom. I don't know how many times. But Robert Preston is just, he was a gem. I mean, a gem of an actor. And to see him in that musical, and then get to see him in this movie, he just has something. I don't know what it is he had, but
There's
he
something
had a
magical about his
quality
performances.
of a character that you couldn't help but like it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You
Um,
want to get swindled by him. You want to be like, damn it, Centauri, we have to try to get my stuff back from you. I'm gonna have to like try to get my money back, because you've screwed me again out of my stuff.
and it was funny to see him laying underneath that vehicle, you know, um, with his legs sticking out, and he's under there supposed to be working on the car,
Mhm.
or the
The
fighter
DeLorean
or
or spaceship, whatever
craft,
it is.
whatever it was. And just I don't know. I loved the outfit they had him in. Um, I don't know. I just thought all of that part of his interaction with the kid, and your little boy too. All of that was really really good. He was um, very
He was
dynamic
he's
character.
charismatic.
Dashing,
Yeah.
uh, flamboyant. All wrapped into one. And you get teary eyed. I still got teary eyed again when he dies.
Hmm.
I don't know. The other character that was in the other movie, Galaxy Quest, what was his name
Alan
again? That
Rickman.
other, what?
Alan Rickman.
Yes. I just, he's another one of those characters or actors that you just can't help but be drawn into every part they play, because he's just that talented. He just makes you fall in love with him, whether they're good or bad. I mean, not, literally in love. I mean,
Yes, I
with the
understand completely.
character that they portray. It's just that's rarity. He's a gem, and so is Robert Preston. I just really, really, it's two people that are both gone now, right?
Yes.
And
Preston
they were
died in
just,
'87, and Alan Rickman died in 2015. I want to say, I had only seen the Last Starfighter up until you watched or you mentioned Victor Victoria,
mhm. You'd never
and
seen him in that?
I'd never seen him that. I've never
Oh,
seen The Sound of Music either.
and
But
but wasn't he? Didn't you just love him
yeah,
in Victor Victoria? I mean, him
I,
getting up there and dancing and singing, and he just, I just, I loved him. Ever
that
since I saw
last
that movie with my mother, I have loved Robert Preston. That was the first movie I ever saw him in.
that last performance he gives in Victor Victoria was all done in one take. And by
Hmm.
the end of that performance in Victor Victoria, Robert Preston was basically wheeled off stage due to exhaustion.
I can
And he
believe it.
looked it. He looked it.
He puts everything into his role, that's
Hey,
just,
bud.
you just don't see that as much anymore. But it was fun. He's just phenomenal. He was a phenomenal actor. I just loved him.
Bone,
Oh, hello, Bone.
My Twitter's down. I'm still trying to argue with him to get my Twitter back. If I can get my Twitter back, I'll let you guys know. But it is what it is. I apologize. Six Nation 31 Kings says something that makes me laugh a little bit. So, did the government have some influence on the whole video game Starfighter thing, or did the film influence the government? And he's referencing back in 2004, we had this thing, I want to say it was 2004, called America's Army, which was a free game you got to download. And if you had a decent rig back then, you could play a game that it would spend about 4 hours trying to train you on how to stand, how to move as part of a team, how to keep your gun not barrel, not going up against your buddy's leg and firing, how not to have training accidents. And they did a lot in terms of safety with that game. Secondly, they got a lot of things right because like they got the watches right on that game. If the sleeve came up on one of your instructors, you saw the watch he was using. And this entire game was designed to get young kids with heads full of mush interested in joining the military.
Hmm.
And Mr. Nations Kings asks, did this movie influence that? And I want to say absolutely. I don't think this movie was a CIA job at all. I think this movie was a labor of love.
Well, when
I think
was the script written for
I want to
this?
say 83 or
Okay,
82 was
because
when the script was
the
made.
story behind the movie is always, you've got a lot of people looking at it to even think about making it into a movie.
Hmm.
So I don't know who was involved in writing it or where he got his information and stuff. Maybe there could have been some kind of something going on, and that's what gave him the idea to do that. But you got to remember too, in the movie, we talked about it with Matthew Broderick, War Games, I guess.
Yes.
The whole thing was based on uh, a computer teaching you how to play thermonuclear war. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So, and that supposed scientist, computer scientist or whatever, used computers to train, you know? So, I don't know. I think that someone in the government was maybe, or maybe more than one, few people in the government were talking to other people about the concept of using warfare in gaming to find recruits to
Well,
make our militaries better than other countries' military. But I'm sure that if our country figured it out, the other countries were probably doing the same thing.
there is a writer for this movie by the name of Jonathan R. Butel,
Hmm.
Betuel, last name. And at the time when he was reading The Once and Future King by T.H. White, he wandered into an arcade.
Mm-hmm.
and he wondered what would happen if a video game was a metaphorical sword and a stone, and a boy racked up an incredible score. What would cause a ripple effect across the universe?
Yeah.
And during this movie, he references this eureka moment he had when he was looking for a script to write. Centauri gets into trouble for using the game to recruit starfighters. It's referred to as the Excalibur test.
Well, one thing I can say about the overall effects to me for this movie, you made the reference that it reminded you a lot of Star Wars. Well, it didn't remind me of Star Wars at all. I grew up watching reruns of Star Trek with my dad, okay, on TV, and he loved William Shatner's character. I love Spock. I loved the concept of thinking I could fly and like that to somewhere else and serve on a starship, that type of thing. The whole concept of that I loved, and the quirky, geeky, goofy way that they filmed the music, dun dun dun, just all the stuff like that is what I loved about it. It was so comic book feeling to me. It was like I don't know. I can't explain any different than that. But uh, watching this, the quirky way that they filmed this movie and the way that the people acted, especially once he got on the starship and went with him to the other thing to become a fighter, not knowing what he was doing, but getting to walk around on the base and everything. It had a feel of the Star Trek series to me. I mean, now some of the sets did look Star Warish to me, like when the big head, the
The large hologram appears
yeah,
in the
the big
middle of everybody.
hologram appeared and it was turning and actually looking like it was actually looking at the people when it looked towards all the starfighters that were sitting there assembled.
Yes.
And things like that. That was very Star Trek to me. I mean, Star Trek and Star Wars, because you got to remember in Star Trek, when they were all looking at the big screen up in the front and they had the big floating head floating around and just weird, it was all campy and weird, But so was Star Wars when it first came out with the weird characters at the bars, and they used the thing when the little, uh, I guess it was a hologram, but it would say, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and they're talking, and they had different little people, on the little hologram stand that was there, and things like that. It just had that same sci-fi vibe, quirky vibe to me. So uh, I don't know. I can't remember back when I first saw it. I tried to think about it, but it's so many other movies kept draining into it. This time when I watched, I couldn't separate all of them. So, but the overall feel of the family oriented type story where you want to it's a raw you want to see him be successful, and you also were rooting for the robot kid, to be
Mhm.
successful, that no one would find him, because once you start to realize that you like the other character as the robot, you want to keep him alive because the assassins are coming.
Yeah.
Multiple assassins are trying to kill him, and not just kill him, but one of the family members or people at the trailer park could also die because they're killed, not realizing that he's a robot and they're there to assassinate him because they think he's the last starfighter.
I
So,
love how all the tech looks in this movie. And when Alex gets shot, when he's at the lake with his girlfriend, and it looks like you've got an exposed motherboard from your 1998 Pentium 2.
mhm.
That I love just how all the tech looks. This movie perfectly does retro future tech. and it embraces 1984 so well. It it's not the most perfect film. I'm rating it an 8, but like I love how the tech looked. And later on, when they're trying to get the ship to get its power back, and Grig's there with what looks to be like a early modem to be plugged into a IBM XT, you know what I mean, guys. And he's there, and the ship's just kind of drifting along, and here comes a big Codan Armada mothership behind him, ramming speed, and he screwing with the modem. I hear when he's screwing with that chipset, all I can hear is the dial up sound. But I love this movie. This is this
Yeah.
is this was not my favorite movie of '84, but then that honor goes to Star Trek III: The Search for Spock.
Mm-hmm.
Rest in peace, Merritt Buttrick, or whatever his name is, the son of Kirk. But I love that movie more than this. But yeah, my favorite movie of 1984 is definitely Star Trek 3. I'm so in love with that film. That we had Return of the Jedi the year before, and if George, if you would have kept Wookiees in the original script to the final script and given us Kashyyyk instead of Endor, I would have rated Return of the Jedi 10 out of 10, best movie ever. That would have been so kick ass. I don't want to see stupid tricks, beating up on scout bikers going through the forest. I want to see Wookiees ripping heads off of stormtroopers. I want to see dismemberments. That's what I wanted to see. You,
Yeah.
yeah. That's I was reading about how they were going to have Wookiees. They were going to have a whole planet full of Wookiees. I got to read this in a magazine in like '82, and I'm like, oh, this is gonna be the best movie ever. Hey, Bowsette. Oh my god. But Return of the Jedi is a good movie. It's just I don't like Ewoks ever at
Oh,
all.
I did. I loved them.
No.
They look like Gizmo.
Hey, Chimerian, how you doing, sir? Chimerian's like, you need somebody to hang up the phone so you could finish dialing back into the ship's control system. Exactly. Exactly.
I just thought in that little scene too, when you said that about the phone earlier, it made me remember the scene where they're showing each other their pictures, and
Yes.
the look on the kid's face when he's seeing it looks like him dressed in different outfits. I
Yeah.
I thought that was so funny because, and he's trying to be nice by not going, you know,
Yes.
I don't know. I just thought that was cute.
Well, the
And I
fact that
forgot how
Greg,
funny it was because there's some really cute, funny little scenes in this whole movie, in the comedy aspect of it. So you had a death, you had explosions, the skanky son of the leader of that one group of that one race that they
yeah,
were there, we were fighting, that our people was, our young man from Earth went to help defend. And they had the weird bald heads with white hair and the funny pointy sleeve stacky looking forehead or whatever. I
Zur,
didn't,
Zur
I
is
can't do what?
Zur was the little guy's name. He
Yeah,
wanted
the
Emperor Zur.
dweeby son, because you had basically all you saw on that whole ship was the command deck area, and there's a round table, and they're standing around it, and then you had the dweeby guys in the red costumes. There's like 3 or 4 of them, and you don't ever see their face, but until that one gets damaged on this ship, and when you see his face, he doesn't look like the other 2 guys that were in charge. You know what I
No.
mean? So they're totally like slime bots or whatever, like stormtroopers, that you never see. They're just like random it's running around doing what they're told, you know what I mean, in record numbers, because they all have the matching stormtrooper costumes. But I love that they were red. I thought that was really different, and I liked it. I thought the red was interesting. It added to them being bad guys, the color red. And I just thought that that whole scene with this, when him having that scepter with the little blade that comes out the end, and
Yes.
the way he was acting like he thought they were afraid of him. I thought they made him look like a total dumbass, the other two, which you could tell they were playing him all along just to be able to get in, and to take over that place. But I just thought all that whole thing was really funny to a degree. I mean, the guy was kind of scary, but in a nuts way, not in a scary way that I didn't feel threatened by him at all. But I felt sorry for his people that he was betraying. But I was kind of happy when the other two said, well, they're going to get rid of him after they use him, and you're like, yeah, they're smart enough to know that guy's a dweeb. Anyways, but I don't know. I just thought that whole thing was really funny. I mean, it I just thought the whole concept around um, the way they reacted to each other and worked together to try to have a goal, and the whole time that one guy was getting played by the other two guys, that to take over what they wanted by using the dweeb to do it. So I thought that whole concept was really funny and entertaining to add to the depth of the bad guys' level of depravity. You know what I mean? I
Yes.
thought that was funny in a comedic way too, though, because they made that guy such a narcissistic a slime ball that no one could like him. The bad guys didn't even like him. So I thought that was funny. It was almost like, what was it called? Spaceballs. Remember that made fun of Star Wars?
Amazing film.
Yeah, it kind of had, like, it reminded me a little bit of that. I don't know if it came out before or after, but since I'd already seen it now, that's what the three of them reminded me of when they're in there, the way that they were dealing with each other in that scene. And then finally they have him dragged off by the other thugs when he pulls that thing out and has the thing come out thinking like he was some kind of badass. They just took him out like he was, you know, it was just funny. I thought that scene was funny to me. I'll stop
I
talking about it now.
Oh, you're fine because this movie you've got this stuff going on in the background. We don't really see much of it. We see Endurin, and he's kind of the man that's in charge of the defense base, and
Mhm.
his son Zur is being a little dick
Yeah.
and is trying to parade around this toy with the blade that pops out of it.
Yeah.
And Lord Krill is enduring Zur. Just we'll use him to get across the frontier. Then we launch our attack, and it's wonderful. Now I might also say K Cooter is his name. Kuter. Oh, I'll get this shared here just so you guys can see what I'm looking at. Hey Tommy, how you doing, sir? Tommy and the Guinea Pig Collective, one of the best channels on YouTube that talks about retro toys. This is the man that I'm talking about. He was basically in charge of the good guys location, and he played a lot of iconic roles. As soon as the internet loads, sorry guys, it's acting like it's DSL, not fiber internet. But this guy, he was a very iconic face in many shows, and he died in 2003, but not before amassing a huge IMDb resume. I mean, he did. Oh wow, he was in Heretic 2. It's like one of my favorite third-person games. I like that better than Tomb Raider. Grim Fandango. He was in The Pretender. He was in Little Mermaid Part 2. Played Grimsby. We don't really want to talk about that. He did a lot of video games. Looks like Arcanum. Wow, that's a really good game, Janet. I know you don't have time for everything we talk about, but Emperor Battle for Dune. Oh wow, he was Seaton and ER, but he was a hell of an actor. You have Norman Snow, who he played Zur, and you don't have a really good photo of him on IMDb, but he's about 73 or 72 now. About 72, my bad.
Oh.
So he played the little annoying prick in that movie. And then Mason. This
Yeah.
guy, I love this man in this movie. This is the greatest actor in this movie, and I know I like Robert Preston quite a bit, but this guy here, he stole the movie for me because after the modem gets connected to the navigation and the little Gunstar starts getting the hell out of the way, and the bad guys realize they can't steer their ship. That Death Blossom has wiped out all of their allies, all of their little fighters, and anything worth of value, and it zoomed along underneath it before and shot a lot of various components that are very valuable to their Codon Armada mothership, and they're getting ready to hit the moon. And he says the greatest line in the entirety of movie history, as his Lackley says, "What are we gonna do now?" And that little monocle, that little red filter flips over his eye. "We die." That's perfect. Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that was pretty good. That was a good line though for him.
I,
Good to use.
ah, and I mean, I know this movie doesn't have the budget that Star Wars did. I just found out that Rob Bottin, prosthetics makeup god, was the tallest figure in the Cantina Band for the original Star Wars movie. Um, he was actually in Star Wars, and he's been in a lot of things ever since then. He also played a couple actor extra bits here and there, but he was responsible for a lot of prosthetics done in RoboCop. Hey, Nerdporial.
Is there any way to look up and see whether that mask or that character was in Star Wars, the one that I was talking
No,
about?
it was not in Star Wars because I just
Oh,
checked out Reeves and I even shared it on screen for a moment. I'll give me a moment. I'll do that again, but that was not used for Star Wars. That is a wholly original product.
does it not look like another one that was in Star Wars?
There is like 10 aliens in this movie that look like they could be at the cantina or Jabba's palace, but they
Because
are
it
not.
was the two eyes that were far apart
Mm-hmm.
and almost ET-ish, but with a rounder, bigger head and that little yucky insectoid looking mouth is why I instantly thought of Star Wars when I saw it, him change into that. And I was like, oh, that's a Star Wars character, is what I was thinking. So I don't know. That's just the first thing that popped in my head when I saw it.
When this movie came out, keep in mind, little Bruce is only 9 years old, and there's a scene in here after Endurin gives his little speech. He's not quite Bill Pullman for Independence Day, but he does something to inspire all of these characters. Alex is there in bailout mode, not even in uniform yet. Everybody else is like, "Victory or death! Victory or death!"
Well, they had already been,
They-
training and everything. He just now arrived. So, he still doesn't even have a clue what's going on, really, that he could die. He doesn't even know that.
Ooh, the secondary market's dropping. Awesome. And whenever he talks about that, Tommy's talking about things like secondhand markets, like pawn shops or eBay, things of that nature. Our friend Oriole Lifeform just had a birthday bash. Happy birthday, sir!
Happy birthday. Yeah, I bought one of his tumblers. I have it sitting on my table right over there.
There's a scene where Alex steps on this guy's tentacle.
Foot, tentacle, yeah. He said, I stepped on something, but I don't know what it is. Whatever that was. But
That's enduring.
Yeah, when I saw this guy, he reminded me of one of the characters from The Who.
Yeah,
Not the TV, not from the movie, with the Grinch, the
yeah,
Whoville people.
yeah.
That's who he reminds me of, like the mayor of the Whoville.
Yeah.
Or there was a TV show and it had, oh God, I'm not even gonna try because I can't remember the name of the show. It was a kids show on Saturdays, and it had a little girl and a tall man, and then a Dastardly Dan type character. I can't remember
I'm
the name.
drawing blank here, and I'm sorry. It's
I'm gonna see
okay.
if I can find it on my phone.
Got Catherine and Lance Guest there. She just looks like every girl next door from the '80s. She could that girl. I wonder if somebody would ever deep fake her face over Ali Sheedy. I know I'm talking about blasphemy right now, but I like her more than I like Ali Sheedy. That's all I'm going to say. At least in this movie, they
Yeah,
had a
she's really pretty,
super. Yeah, she's super pretty.
very down to earth looking.
This
You know what
this
that looks like? That scene right there? It looks
the
like
War
the
Games.
top level of a cruise ship. Just at this angle, the way you're looking at it, it looks like the top level of some type of cruise ship.
I don't
And
see
they
enough
put it,
drunken
no, I mean,
gamblers
just
there.
just if you just took everything off of it, all the computers and everything,
Oh
and
yeah,
just looked at it, it looks like a cruise ship.
yeah,
And
because
then
you have
they put they cleaned it all off and put a bunch of uh, computer desks and stuff on it to make it look like a flight deck or something.
it's a nice looking command center. I got to say they did good with their props. They didn't have a lot of money,
Yeah, I mean,
and
but
what
it,
they
it
did
did
was
good. I mean, it does look. It looks really good, but that's the first thing I thought of when I saw it was it looked like the top of a cruise ship.
oh come on, Maggie. Nah, he's leaving, and it looks kind of suspicious. It looks kind of suspect. You can see Alex is kind of jealous of this dude here because he's got the big red truck, and he's like, oh, he was just on his way home, huh? He lives on the other side of town, and she's trying to be like, babe, I wasn't really cheating on you with him. I don't think
Yeah,
she was cheating on him.
you
I think
got
she was.
sex spots in here again.
Oh,
It's
my favorite.
69 Omega or whatever.
Let me boot this up. Stop sharing my screen.
I
Go to
wish
my
I could.
channel.
I wish I knew how to get rid of them. I wish I could.
Hold on. For some odd reason, my computer's acting slow. I think I might have a couple of things I need to put user in timeout. All right. Sorry about that. Thank you, Bowsette.
I'm reporting a bunch of them for you.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
I've never done it. I keep forgetting that I have a wrench, and I'm not very good at doing multitasking.
You're fine.
So I just popped up and looked, and I said, "Oh my goodness, it's I see some because of the bright colors. You can't help but see the bright colors."
CBK Ply is like, bot! And Bowsette's already on it. The wrench has got it. The wrench has got it. Hey, CBK, we're doing pretty good. Talking about one of my favorite movies. I shouldn't say favorite. This movie, I love this film, but
You have a soft spot in your heart for this movie.
real soft spot. This is like your this is comfort food movie. This really is. And here, of course, we have Otis overseeing Alex getting his training on the Kodan Armada. But you didn't realize, no, this is your training. This is your boot camp right here. Who is that? Vernon Washington. He's really a good actor, I think. Now, this
Yeah.
guy, you guys might not know this. Bruce is going to help you with this. This is Dan O'Hurley. He was in one of the most iconic movies of 1987 called RoboCop. That's
Mhm.
right. He played the old man. I mean, he doesn't even doesn't they did better with this guy's makeup than they did with Louis Gossett Jr. for Enemy Mine. And I hate to say that. I'm not trying to diss Enemy Mine, but I am going to say that I love him being a reptoid, and the fact that whenever they're comparing photos, and you're saying it looks like a bunch of just various photos of Dana Hurley in the makeup,
Yeah. I
he
thought
he
that
did,
was hilarious.
he
Didn't you
did
think that was a
say,
good scene?
hmm
I thought
I
it was a
thought it was a
cute
great
scene.
scene.
Very personal. And it just showed his now see, that's one thing when you just said that about Enemy Mine character. Is that
Yeah,
what you were talking about?
yes, ma'am.
Okay. Louis Gossett Jr.'s character compared to this character, it was almost like they could have been the same character.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Not because of their costume, but the mannerisms, the way they bob their head, the way the joyfulness, the like when he finds out he's pregnant. You know what I mean? In that other movie,
hmm
and when he was talking about his family back on the other planet and all the different things, they were very similar in the way that they portrayed their. Very even though they were lizard people, reptiles, they were very yeah, they were very cordial, jovial, personable. They were total opposite of what you would think a reptilian would be. You know what I mean? If you
yeah.
were to meet one that had evolved into a human like entity. I
And
just thought that was very
pro-
interesting.
just promise me, Janet, one thing.
What?
I want you to promise me you'll never go to Snake or Swamp. I think that's the name of it. It's in South Carolina. Just don't go to any swamps in South Carolina. There's a lizard man that attacks minivans over there.
Well, they had the same thing down in New Orleans in the swamps. That there was some kind of swamp thing that would come and get you. I mean, where do you think all those comic books came from?
Chris Aberth. Look at that.
They got
This
stories.
is a happy
Oh,
little
there
boy.
he is. Oh, he was so cute.
That is supposed to be based on a DeLorean, by the way. So, I
Yeah,
mean,
that's
earlier you
exactly what it looks like.
I don't know if how fast they actually made it go. There are some kit cars that for movies they make them look like they're going very fast, but in reality they can barely do 10 mile per hour. I think this one here might have gone up to 35.
Yeah.
That really is a nice Dodge truck. I'm not a Mopar guy at all, but I am going to say that this is a really fine looking Dodge truck.
Mm-hmm. It is. And they blew it up.
Well, it was for a good cause.
Yeah.
He shot the neighbor. This entire scene is like you're right that they have all these RVs stacked next to each other out of kilter. They have no rhyme or reason. It's a
It's
musical that
ramshackly. It's
yeah,
very it's like they just pulled in with their RV and parked, got out and set some of their chairs and stuff out and their grill and started cooking.
yeah,
It's like they didn't
bunch of
it's not like a regular trailer park where they have so much distance between them and they got a deck, where their porch is at, different things like that. It's just like park, 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 and they're all like in different angles and stuff. There's no rhyme or reason with it. That's what I'm saying. That's why I call it was an RV park. They
yeah.
just pulled in and set up shop, you know.
I
That
like the
that I
front
thought
of
was
it.
interesting.
I really dig the Frontier. It's very basic looking, but it still looks like, it does look kind of foreboding. Like, please don't go past here.
Mm-hmm.
And the Gunstar, the little ship that they made for this film, there's actually the guy that designed this, the guy that did all the CGI work. He did a lot of actual homework, and in theory, this could work. That little
Mm-hmm.
ship could very much work with the directional thrusters and how it's supposed to angle about. It looks like something that would be viable, not like the X-wing, which I don't think is viable. I think the X-wing's a great looking spaceship for a movie, but I don't think it would actually work.
Well, the part where he is in the gunner seat, that
Mhm.
spins around and moves and everything. I don't know how many arcades I've been in and seen that actual kind of like module in there, gunner seat that moves around like that. So, and I've seen it on a couple of documentaries where they were training fighter pilots and stuff. So, uh, the concept of what someone was talking about earlier of how they used it as a training tool by using video games and stuff as a training tool. I really do believe that the military was using stuff like that to train our people to be better pilots and our fighter pilots, stuff like that because of that. But the thing is that it looked like he really enjoyed getting to do some of those scenes, and that they had a good time when they were doing it because it seemed like he enjoyed this movie, making this movie. The actor that played the two characters, you know, the park kid and the starfighter.
He enjoyed playing the beta unit. He really
Yeah, I
did.
think so. I think he enjoyed both. It did look like fun, both parts.
Yeah, Swamp Thing was a great movie.
Yeah, it was a good
Louisiana
movie.
has a Rougarou. Yeah, Louisiana has a Rougarou. So does Vidor,
Mhm.
Texas.
Yeah, there's just different creatures in different states. I think that they have some kind of something, in every state, some kind of creature or more than one.
I just picked up a new YouTube subscription. They're not sub to me. I sub to Dread Captures, and
Mhm.
it's a YouTube channel that goes over like trail cams and photographs and videos of Bigfoot or other cryptids, and some of it's kind of blob squatchish. You can't really tell what it is. Others, there's some things out there that I can't wait for them to upload. It's a brand new channel. They just had like their first or two or three uploads here,
Mhm.
and they've got a good showing. Donovan Dread is a really good channel if you like cryptid talk. It's hard to park an X-wing.
Uh,
Meth lab cheek. I love this film. This is like one of the greatest movies that fewer and fewer people, have been exposed to it because we're getting further from the point where it was inception and it came out and now it's part of retro. I think it's just one of these movies that once you see it the first time you're like, that movie's got a lot of heart and soul because they do everything right. They don't have a budget of Star Wars. They don't have the name recognition of like Rob Bottin or ILM, but they made CGI a thing. This is a movie. As much as Tron tried to do it, this is the movie I feel like really made CGI work. And Disney basically had like a print shop for money at the time. When did Tron come out the same year? I think it did.
I think Disney's always had a print shop for money, to be honest. Pretty much could print out all the money they needed for whatever they wanted to make. I think it really had to do with what they thought would make money and what they thought wouldn't make money. on how much they threw in it. You know what I mean? And I don't know why, because the overall concept of this movie, I think could have made a lot of money for this for Disney, but I think the director chose to do certain things in a certain way simply because that was his vision, not so much just they only had a limited amount of money. You know,
Yeah,
does that make sense?
it does. Tron was 2 years before in '82.
Mhm.
Another great movie year because that was the year that The Wrath of Khan came out.
Yeah, it was in the 80s. Okay, it's still in the 80s. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know, it still had a lot of really good talent. It was a lot of writing talent. There was a lot of up and coming young directors and producers, people looking to, you know, dabble in different areas in comedy, musical, war, you know, the different dramas, different types of movies that we had a huge realm, you know, huge vastness of different types of movies that were all successful in the 80s and early 90s that lots of people were wanting to dabble in and to see if they could make any money and get their foot, you know, their foot wet, put their, you know, put their toes in and see what, you know, what the temperature was like. And you can tell because if you go back and you look through it, because I was just skimming through some of the IMDb information, and there's a lot of similar names, you know, connected when it goes to when you go to the behind the scenes parts of the producers and things like that that were involved in a bunch of these movies from the 80s. Now I know that when you go through a whole decade of different types of movies, you're going to have similar people involved in it. But what I mean is, you can see a lot of young and up and coming directors and producers that moved on to bigger and bigger things as the time went on. And then the 90s, they got bigger and bigger, but you got fewer and fewer uh, of them making big movies where they made lots of money because it gets harder and harder the more money that you want to spend to make something. So you can get a lot of smaller movies made in the same price range as one big blockbuster. So you'd have to have a lot of people under your belt. You know, what I mean is you have to have a lot of good names when it came to costumes, FX, information, different types of uh, actors and writers and all that stuff under your belt, all combined to get the big budget. And you have to have the right people to be able to pull those different people in to be all on the same project. So, and that got harder and harder, I think, as the years went on, because in the 80s and 90s, it seemed like you had a lot of actors that were willing to take a little less money to be in uh, something because they saw it as a passion and not just the bank book. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
I mean, like there was a movie with Sean Penn and his brother were in it, and Madonna sang one of the head songs. That she made a lot of money off. It was one of her biggest hits, and I can't remember the name of it right this minute. At no, was it At Close Range? I
I
don't
think
know. I don't
so.
think so. I don't remember. I cannot remember the name of it, but it was like a independent movie or something, and Sean Penn wanted to be in it. I mean, after he read the script, he wanted to be in it, and it was really good. I cannot remember the name of it, but that's
Shanghai Surprise.
what?
Shanghai Surprise.
No, that's not it.
That is a 1986 adventure movie by Jim Goddard, starring then newlyweds Sean Penn and Madonna.
Yeah, but she wasn't in it. She sang the music for it, the opening. I'll go and type it and look it up.
Okay,
Um,
fair enough. Yeah, that.
sorry.
And by the way, Shanghai Surprise has a 3.2 rating on IMDb. That's out of 10, 3.2. So just keep Madonna out of your fucking movies. My bad, my bad.
Yeah, she wasn't in it. She was saying the music for it.
She's actually in Shanghai Surprise, which is why you don't want to watch it. Seriously.
Yeah, she was in that other one, Desperately Seeking Susan.
Okay.
She was in. That's not the movie I'm talking about, though. Madonna was in that movie too.
I just realized I have a mute button on my microphone, so I don't have to go over and click on the mouse mute. It's great. Um, this. What would you if you were to do a sequel to the Last Starfighter, Janet? Because they're trying to make a sequel. They're trying to sell us on getting excited for a sequel for the Last Starfighter, and we're not talking for modern audiences. But I am going to ask you, if you were to make a movie for the Last Starfighter, how would you do it? A sequel.
I would start it off with the little boy years later when he's able to win. And what I would do is I would take the game that was there outside the trailer park and have somebody come, and the place is all dwindled up, or somebody inherited the property that this old RV park was on, and they came in and they were going to bulldoze it out. So somebody came and said, I want this stuff, and he sells all of it because he just wants to get the stuff out of the way so he can put this giant condo on it or something, apartment complex or something, or a mall, and all that stuff ends up going to his other building or something, and then have some young girl or boy win the game, and then someone comes and gets them and says that they're needed for some other type of same thing, kind of like Galaxy Quest.
Yeah.
But with the arcade game that was taken from the trailer park, because it has the stuff set up in it to alert the people from the other galaxy.
I think that would be coded into it.
I think that would be really, really a really good way to write a script around that. If it was me, that's what I would do. That's how I would lead into it, because it would have to connect, I would think. You know what I mean? That would be the connection. Sorry, I'm trying to plug my phone in.
I would say if they wanted to go for somebody who was a fan of this movie and they're like, we want to do a sequel to The Last Starfighter, and I'm playing a stupid game of what if, which it won't ever come to pass, but this is a fun exercise no matter what, because it's kind of what we do. We talk about movies here. We talk about stories. I would have it to where Alex finally gets a chance to come back to Earth, and he picks up his brother and takes him back, and his brother the whole time is giving him that guilty BS. You weren't there when Mom died. Where were you when the cable went out in Mrs. Emilson's trailer? Why are what are we doing up here? And Alex could be like, listen, I need somebody who can listen to me and help me, because I've got new people. And first thing Alex would have to do, he'd have to stop talking like the rest of the people from Rylos. He'd have to give his brother the translator under the collar. So the first 2 minutes, it'd be like the Thermians talking to the Galaxy Quest crew. But
yeah,
but you would have
makes sense. But you got to remember, the brother was the younger brother would be. I don't think the younger brother would be mad at his brother for going off and not being there when certain things happen, because he was there and was in awe of his brother when he found out his brother was a starfighter. So to me, it would be more realistic if the younger brother if you're going to use him, he would have to beat the game himself. But he was almost about to win. He was just about to pass his brother's score, okay, because he was able to do that, and that's when they come and take. They're gonna bulldoze the RV park down. So he begs for that machine or whatever, and they say no. So that some old guy ends up buying it from the other guy, and that he ends up getting to go to the warehouse or whatever and playing it, and that's when he gets to his brother ends up coming and getting him. And you can have the other woman that was the actress that played his wife. Now they have kids of their own or whatever else, and that kind of thing can be more futuristic wherever they're at, on the other planet or wherever he's at, that type of thing, and have other characters and stuff to add into it, that he gets to meet his cousins or his nieces and nephews from his
That'd be
brother.
pretty cool.
Something like that. But to me, I wouldn't have any sadness that he left and went to do that, because the brother was looking up to him. Like, remember at the end when he's wanting to play the game to try to win so he could go.
True.
So
And I
I
always,
would use it. I would try to keep it just as fun and family friendly. The whole thing, just like what they did with Top Gun. They kept the story, the the same story. You know what I mean? They kept the honor and the integrity of the first movie and made the second one just as good, and maybe even a little bit better. And that's what I would want to do. I would want to keep the wholesome qualities of the original movie and add it into another one. And now you got two brothers fighting side by side. You see what I mean?
yes.
I think that whole concept would be really good. And I think a lot of people, the parents that saw this movie when they were young, getting to watch it with their children or their grandchildren now, I think would be great. And to still have that same wholesomeness that come along with it. I'm not saying not have funny stuff like when he was, telling her, you're the one I want. Those other girls didn't mean anything. That whole thing, that kind of stuff can still be in it and be funny, but still be wholesome to where it's not over the top dirty like they have nowadays.
I
You know
really
what I
like
mean?
what Bone says. He's like, remember, you have to race and gender swap everyone in the sequel except for the villains. They can stay white.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, and that's what's sad, that we can't just enjoy movies because they're movies.
And this movie is if you're like my friend uh, Draconic Cherub Chris from my Saturday games, which we're going to be seeing him Saturday. Um, if you're like Chris, this was his introduction to sci-fi, and this is really a good movie. If your kids haven't seen Star Trek, if they've not watched Star Wars, this is a fine movie to sit them down in front of and give them an hour and a half or an hour and 40 minutes of joy, because this film has got almost everything you want in it. You've got the wholesome romance of young love. You've got the angst of a teen wanting to go somewhere and do something with his life. And then when he gets there and has a chance to do it, he panics because his safety net's gone. And then he's mentored back into that position to where he can develop his strength. And then you have him given the challenge and he succeeds. This movie's got the perfect hero story to it. If we're just analyzing story for story, it equals, in my opinion, the same amount of joy as the edited version, non upgraded 1997 episode 4 Star Wars. Okay, I'm talking about the 1977 original print. This movie is as good as Star Wars on a story level. It will never equal it, but it tries really hard, and it does a very good job of honoring Star Wars' contribution. And I think in the long run, especially if Disney continues to take the Star Wars name and stomp on it and kick it in the gutter, I honestly feel this movie will seem almost as good or maybe greater to some movie critics in the future. I'm happy with this movie. I don't think I could be unhappy with it. This is a film that always takes me back to a simpler time where you knew the good guys, you knew the bad guys, and you didn't have any convoluted crap.
Yeah, for sure. There, I sent you a link on Discord from the other movie that I was talking about,
Okay.
um, from the 80s. It's Christopher Walken and Sean Penn.
Oh
And Sean
wow.
Penn's brother's in it, and it's called At Close Range, and it's an independent. But that's what I was talking about. It slowly just stopped where you had actors like the movie that I recommended people watch called Mr. Brooks,
Mm-hmm.
because um, uh, now I can't remember the name of the actor
Christopher
that starred in the
Walken,
movie. No,
William Hurt,
no, the other one.
Costner.
Yeah, Kevin Costner
Okay.
read the script by passing, whatever, and he loved it. He absolutely loved it, and he wanted to be in this movie. He wanted to play this character. You just don't see that very often anymore, where you have top-notch actors reading a script from an independent person, not somebody, and it wasn't written for them, and it wasn't taken from someone else and rewritten. It was a script that somebody wrote, they read, they loved it, and they wanted to be in it, even if it wasn't going to be backed by a huge, like some of these big companies today, whatever companies I can't even remember the names of them right now, but it's just nice. That's why I always told you I like independent movies. Okay, I like them more because you get good quality stories and sometimes really, really good actors, uh, because of the passion of telling a story, not just because they're going to make a lot of money off of it. Like, let's see, I don't know how many movies that I've picked so far on our lists that were picked simply because I loved the stories, and it really wasn't because it was a blockbuster, but it was most likely an independent movie. Like Lars and the Real Girl. It was an independent movie, but I thought it was a phenomenal overall story, that I liked, and I was happy that I was able to watch and see it unfold and come to life on screen from something somebody wrote, and they got the chance to see it come to life. I would just love one day for one of my stories to get to come to life, because the right person gets to read it and wants to do it, because I'm never going to be really rich, and I won't be able to ever bankroll my own movie. But if I could do it as an independent, I would. I would even do it. I would let somebody make it probably and not even get money, just as long as I got the credit as the writer for it, because that's how much I would like to see it, made into a movie. But not everybody gets that, because today, the way it's set up today, the only way you get in is if you already know somebody to get in. That's
Mm-hmm.
it. They do not let new people in. I think I told you once that when I was down New Orleans, um, Will Smith came down there to make that movie about the Super Bowl. It was like a Super Bowl movie, and they were gonna rip off some big wig or whatever. I can't remember the name of the movie. It flopped at the box office, anyways. But
Okay.
when he was down there, him and some of his people wanted to do a screenplay contest. Okay, and they were going to give the top person that was in there so much money, and then they were going to have him be in their movie. And then I got one of the paperwork for it and read it, and basically it said that, that if you sign the paperwork and let them do it, that you couldn't sue them if they are a similar movie or something like that came out later on, one of them made it
You
that you
forfeit
couldn't sue.
all of your rights with
So
that
so
product.
basically you're signing away your story, your characters or whatever for them to take and use, which I thought was sad because you got all these new people that spent maybe who knows how long writing a script. They're nobodies, okay? And this rich group of people is going to take your story and probably get hundreds of great scripts, or 10, 15, 20 good scripts out of the hundreds that they're going to get, and they get nothing. you know and what you get as a screenwriter is you get your name at the opening credits. It's big as a director's name. That's
Mhm.
that's one of the recognitions you get as a writer. Now you're not going to make half as much money as the rest of the people. The actors are probably going to make more money than you, things like that. But the credit, the name being up there, the name recognition of writing is worth it to a lot of people. But today, most people end up selling their script for a few $1,000s. And if it's a blockbuster, like let's say the Santa Claus, okay, he sold his script, whoever it was, and they took it and they made 3 different blockbuster movies and sold tons and tons of merchandise from it. And this person didn't even get their name on there because they
George,
sold
you,
they
you know,
sold their script.
George Lucas got screwed on the Star Wars toys with Kenner, right?
No, I didn't know that.
Uh,
Sorry.
you're fine. Kenner came along after he tried negotiating with Mattel, and Kenner basically gave him like less than 10% of toys of the revenue. He got like single digits of each toy, percentage wise. George Lucas learned his lesson with merchandising after Episode 4. Once Episode 4 was in Betamax and VHS, that was when George Lucas was actually business ready, because he wasn't business ready before then. He wasn't ready
Yeah.
for the overnight success of Star Wars, and he was not ready for the merchandising deals and all the lunch boxes he was selling and all the t-shirts and the bed sheets like what I had. He wasn't ready for that. And by the time 1980 came around, he had different things on his agenda. He had different things on his plate, and he knew how he was going to play the game. But breaking in, getting your foot in the door, especially in Hollywood, you got to be willing to do some horrible things to your wallet and to yourself to your dignity, because otherwise you're just not going to get that door open for you. Yeah, George is like, damn it, those dollar
Well,
things.
it's just sad because you know, if you want name recognition, you're pretty much not going to get it. And there's so many scammers out there. I mean, as soon as certain people in certain realms find out that you do certain things, like you're some type of writer, you're going to get all these people coming out of their woodwork saying, "Oh, we read your script; it's so good, but we want to fix it up. We want to dazzle it up a little. You pay us $5,000, and we'll go through and we'll do this, that, and the other to your script, and then we'll make sure the right people see it." Okay. Then you pay them the money and then nothing happens, because they're not really going to do it. Or you get contacted by all these things that say, we're going to enter your script into these different screenplay contests, and we'll get people to do a live reading of your script at this festival, and we'll do this, that, and the other. And that's thousands and thousands and thousands more dollars. So basically, they're making all these different groups of people are making money off all these struggling people, because most of them are people like waiters or bus drivers or a librarian. I mean, or a person that works in an office. They're just everyday people using their job and on the side trying to write scripts, because they got stories in their head and trying to learn. And I'm not saying their stories aren't good or perfect. I'm not saying they're perfect. But the thing is that because their foot's not in the door, they don't know a $1 million actor that will say, "Hey, I love your script. I'm going to take it to my these different companies that I've worked for and let them read it." How many people know people like that? You don't. I mean, even if you do know a few, that doesn't mean they're going to read your script unless they're going to star in it. You see,
Yeah.
if you got friends that are stars and they look at it and they say, "Oh, it's a really good thing," but the main character's too young, or the main character is the opposite sex, or something. And so they're like, "Well, okay, I'll see what I can do." And that's it, because they're not going to be the prominent person in the top of it. They're not going to work on trying to push it. But then you have other people that come and say, "Oh, I like your script, but I want to change it to uh bisexual character, or a person at the opposite sex of what they are." Or you got to make all these, they want you to make all these changes to your characters. Yeah, which is fine. But when you start making certain changes, it starts changing this overall story, because you got backstories, you got, different things, and the way that the other characters interact with you or that character. You end up changing your whole story, and it's no longer the original story that you wrote. Now it's the story they want. See? And if they want a story, why don't they just write one instead of taking another person's story and turning it into something that isn't? Just like I'm always saying about, they'll take Superman, and he's a great character. He's already awesome, so why do you have to take him and make him gay? We
But
already have gay characters in the comics. I mean,
don't you want to see Superman getting plowed? Don't you want to see Superman?
but that's what I don't understand. That is what's happened to me when you see what great movie selection that we had in the 80s and in the 90s, and then now it's 2022. The selection is gone. I mean, they've pretty much said, well, you can only have black people in this certain realm, and then you can only have white people in this realm, and then you can only have this people in that, and dwarfs in this, and you can only have a short person play a dwarf. You can only have a cripple play a cripple. They've taken the acting out of it. Okay, a person that's a good actor, just like we were talking about with Robert Preston, and what was the other gentleman's name again?
Lance Guest.
What?
Lance Guest.
Okay. That Lance Guest being able to portray a character and be good at it to where people want to pay money to see them portray characters, okay? Because they're good at portraying a character. Now we're supposed to pay money to pay for this person that is an okay actor simply because he's in a decent role. You see what I mean? There's a big difference. Instead of taking a good actor and putting him in these different roles, and he's good in all these different roles, or just have him play the one role over and over again 5 times because he's no good at anything else he does, because he's not a good actor. They're just good at that one character. You see what I mean? Like, what was his name? Tom Arnold. Remember I said that one movie? I saw him in one movie that he was good in, and I loved him in it. But everything else I've ever seen him in, he sucked. I just didn't think he's not very good. He's just not a method actor, or whatever you want to put on there to fit him in, because he's just, I just don't think he's very good. But someone else might love him and think he's the best thing ever, since, I don't know. I just don't understand it. I'll never understand why you take a person that's way up here, a CEO of a big, giant, multi-million-dollar corporation, and they have the final say if this movie gets made, not because the movie is good or because it's a good script, but because so-and-so said it was, and he wants to see his girlfriend in it, or he wants to see his daughter in it as a star, that type of thing. I don't know how many times I've been on different sets and I've seen the producers bring their kids in, and they're moving stuff around so they can put their kids in this movie, and then got other people, they're coming in, they say, we want this person in this scene, and they're changing things up simply because the producer's paying them a certain amount of money to see their kid on screen, instead of taking their kid, let them go to acting school or whatever, and then let them work their way up, because they should be in movies because they're good at what they're doing, instead of just putting them in there because they got money. you know to me, that it's taken away from the actual quality of what we want when we go to a movie to watch it. We want to be entertained. We want to be taken out of our reality for just a small, few hours of our life to enjoy something. And if you're not in, you're not in. They just take away from the overall aspect of what it could have been, and turning it into something it really shouldn't have been. I mean, I don't know how else to explain it. I'll shut up for 5 minutes. Your turn.
Well, we got one of our friends, one of our mods in chat, Bowsette, amazing person, has there's a lot of vacillation between the creators that are in my chat, and I would say we're not all the same tribe, but a lot of us have tribes that interact with each other really, really frequently. Bowsette, I met through Machini 90, my co-host, on Sundays, and he just uploaded a neat little video at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. He lives over in Avocado Time.
Yeah.
But he made this video, we talked about it yesterday, Creating for a Modern Audience, his sketch diary, page 34. Bowsette says in here, the modern audience is a lie. It's backwards communist ideals with a dash of politics thrown in, only to use language, tear down the nuclear family, and blur gender lines. None of these woke tards are paying customers because they have money to support the shiza they cry about. Good stuff, Bowsette.
Yep, a sad fact though.
and that repeats, this is what happens if we don't gatekeep. This is what leads to where we're at now. Everything I said in that comment, and it leads into what Jan just said about acting. Yeah. This is a problem endemic in Hollywood and everywhere else. They've taken the Antonio Gramsci playbook, which wasn't supposed to be discovered, but somebody discovered it and kept it. They were supposed to burn it. Gramsci was a political prisoner, I believe, in Italy, and somebody took his ideals and they perverted them, and now it's all over. It's everywhere. You can't go 10 feet in modern society without seeing some crap. And if you don't preach to somebody, in the pronouns they want to hear, they want to, get you for wrongthink. It's misery. So I just, I'm not a big fan of this. No, not many people in here are. I'm not trying to say this is an echo chamber, but I will say that the people that think about things don't want to have a society that Gramsci would approve of. That's what I'll say. Wow, we're 2 hours into this already. Wow. This has been a fast talk about, and we didn't really talk about this movie a whole lot. We did, but we didn't. Janet, what would you rate this movie? A scale of 1 to 10.
Well, there really wasn't much about the movie that I didn't like. So I definitely would give it at least an 8, because it had everything you'd want for an enjoyable story, good character arcs, lots of comedy, romance, even though it was young love, basically is what I would say instead of romance. And then you had the action part, and then you had the hero part. So and it was sci-fi. So to me, it had a lot of good qualities, and the only thing I would say would be that what took away from it was that the CGI and little aspects like that weren't as up to spec for today. But if you could go and watch it with your nieces and nephews or your children or grandkids, and visualize it knowing that it's from the 80s. I think you guys would really get a kick out of it. I think it's really, really um, good, wholesome fun. Is what I think.
I think this movie hits on every cylinder, even on the weakest aspect of it, where it would be like budget, props, etc. I
Mhm.
think the prosthetic effects for the aliens is fantastic. I love the script in it. I think it's great that every little chance they get you, they every little chance the script gets to remind you that you're watching a science fiction movie, it does that. Like when Greg talks about his 6,000 reptoid kin that he's created and spawned, when when Alex steps on the tentacle of the big brawler in the assembly. I think it's fantastic. And it doesn't ever really stop reminding you this is great sci-fi. This is they're not trying to like promote like we are great sci-fi, but it is great sci-fi because it is a good movie. And
Mhm.
the part about it probably I like the most is once again Robert Preston and the
Mhm.
various things he does in this movie where he's explaining to his peers that no, Earth is not part of the empire, but they're in the same spot. And then he's corrected, well, the Earth hasn't matured yet, and they're not
Yeah,
ready for this yet. And
yeah,
you know, it doesn't matter.
but he also said that yes, they're not inducted into this yet, but they're going to be affected if we lose. Remember?
Exactly.
So
And that's the
they do
important.
have something at stake.
They even if you choose not to fight, even if
Mhm.
you chose to ignore this last election cycle, which I will admit on a few stages it was a clown show. Arizona, Pennsylvania, you fuckers.
Still is.
And it's not going to get better for those areas. It's it's going to be a bigger fight for other places not affected by them. Not not
Yeah, it's
not
going to be
Pennsylvania,
dragged
not
out
Arizona.
for a while right
But
now.
but if you choose not to fight, you're choosing. If you're trying to ignore a fight, if you're trying to ignore a subject, like I just don't worry about politics. No, you're allowing somebody else to make your own decisions for you. And I love how Centauri is taking that up. It's a very much an educated libertarian stance, in my opinion. Maybe that's just based because I'm based as fuck, but I really love this movie for the fact that Centauri makes it the Earth's business, and he says, if we lose, they're going to
Mhm.
suffer with the rest of us, and that's perfect. And then when the movie goes from Act Two to Act Three, which is it really takes a while to get into the gunner's seat,
Yeah.
but once it does, it's faster than the rest of the movie. And I felt this movie was excessively fast paced. This movie to me is as fast paced as 1951's The Thing from Another World,
Mhm.
which really, there's not a spot in that movie to breathe. You don't really catch your breath. Um,
Well, the reason I think it went fast paced is because you go from the training and stuff back to him at home dealing with romance, things he has to do around the house for his mom and his little brother, and everyday life of a teenager, the interaction between other teenagers and the other people in the trailer park. And then you go, in the very next scene, you got the same actor portraying a different Alex interacting with other aliens, and then you got the evil people that are trying to take over. So you've got two different movies basically blended together. So you're getting basically two for one. Uh, and I just think and it's all wholesome and funny and entertaining. So that's what you get for your money. I think it's you're getting a bargain. It's very good.
I'm going to say this movie for me is at least an 8. I'm going to probably rate it a 9.
Hmm.
Just for the
Yeah.
fact even though the music is probably the lowest portion of the movie for me,
Yeah.
because the music it's not a different theme for the love song. It's just a slowed down tempo for the love theme. That's probably the worst part about the movie is that they had to skimp somewhere, and you can see the skimping here and there, but it looks great when you think it's 1984 film. But when you look at it, and you have all this world behind you, the information of today, you're like, man, they really didn't have a lot of money for this. Well, I guess you haven't watched Star Trek the original series lately either, have you? Because there's a lot of scenes in that wouldn't pass the smell test. And back then that was about as peak sci-fi as it got. It was either that or
Yeah.
Doctor Who. With Doctor Who and Blake Seven didn't have a budget. They
Mm-mm.
did very well with the budgets they had. Um, I think it's a 9. I think if the music is the worst part of it, then this movie is still a classic. And I watched it and I thought about it in 2022 terms, and I thought about it in 1984 terms. I just I love this film. This is Lance Guest's best work. Nick Castle's movie of the in his filmography as a director or producer or anything. This is probably my favorite movie he ever touched. Although we could probably pepper the rest of the year with Nick Castle films. I don't want to do that, but we could because they're mostly entertaining. He's not a bad director. He does great with what he's given. He doesn't go to Hollywood bitching, I need more script, I need more budget, I need it, and I need. He works within the boundaries that they let him color in, and he never gets out of the lines. He's a great director. Um, my big question for Janet now. Now here's the question. Next Monday, we have this show coming up again. What do you want to have me watch? Oh no. Oh no. Is that the 2008 John Travolta classic?
Yeah. I think it's going to be great. I want to watch it. I told you I want to watch some funny, good-hearted, fun movies this month because of all the scary stuff that we watch for the month of October. And I it's a good movie. And that's a movie I would like to watch if you guys want to watch it.
I'm not going to say no.
Okay, good. Because I love Tim Allen and I love William H. Macy. So, and Martin Lawrence is in it. And then you got John Travolta. So you got 4 awesome actors all in one movie. And I'm excited to watch it.
I like this movie for next week.
Mm-hmm. So,
I
because
have
you said something about you had something planned for the month of December, and I never did ask. So
I was thinking we could go on some various themes, and for Thanksgiving or for November I really didn't want a theme because we did horror and we did fantasy before that, and I watching Hallmark inspired films just makes my stomach churn.
yeah,
So I'm not I, I'm not into Hallmark films. Like I love Lisa Whelchel from Facts of Life. I loved her as Blair. I don't
yeah,
want to see her as a 59-year-old woman trying to find love. Although as a 59-year-old woman, she looks like she's 40 something, and
yeah.
that's perfect. I mean, if a woman takes good care of herself, and she still looks great, that's all that. I mean, for us watching television, that's all we really want. Give us a good looking woman, a good looking guy, give us a decent script, and let them act the way they're supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I, I, I'm okay with not having a family themed Thanksgiving reunion for November. For December, my theming, I was wanting to know if you wanted to do like as much as everybody here probably wants to escape Christmas. Some
Mm-hmm.
of my friends might be retailers and they might have to listen to Mariah Carey. What was that? It's All I want for
Yep,
Christmas is
Crystal Lake. That's what it reminds me of.
the thought of hearing Mariah Carey when I walk into a store fills me with dread. I'd rather walk into a swamp naked and let a lizard man attack me.
Yeah, that's what you say now.
Ah, it's a fucking lizard man. No, 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 no. Yeah, that's exactly how that turns out. Um, we, we got some interesting chat talk there. Black Christmas for December, which is really bad. It's good. Silent Night, Deadly Night. We could look up some fractured Christmas tales, like really bad ones, like Santa's sleigh or
So
Christmas
you want to
tune.
do like maybe Christmas oriented type, whether
Yeah,
it's
it had-
horror or something with
yeah.
having to do with Christmas, like Bad Santa.
That sounds good. As much as I love Jimmy Stewart, and that God rest his soul, he did so much good for America in a lot of aspects in his life. I like Jimmy Stewart. I don't want to watch It's a Wonderful Life ever a fucking again. Ever
Yeah,
again.
I remember my mom made us watch. I'm trying to remember the name of it, but it had the actor that was in the eight. Damn it,
Hmm?
Anthony Hopkins. It was an Anthony Hopkins movie, and he was a hunchback.
Like Quasimodo?
Yeah, he was like Quasimodo, and I don't remember the name of the movie though. But she made us watch it every single year on Christmas. And I cannot
I'm
remember it, but I just remember just waking up after it was over and my mom waking us up and making us go to bed. But we slept through it because it was just
not the movie
terrible.
you wanted to watch.
Yeah. But she
I
watched it every year. And she said, it's a tradition. I grew up watching this movie. I was like, oh, okay, mom, whatever. Now you're making us watch it. But I never forced my family to watch it.
your daughter's probably so happy
my my
because your
the
daughter,
torture ended after I left the house, so it was good. But I
um,
can't remember the name of it. But it was Anthony Hopkins as Quasimodo, so I don't remember what the name of the movie was, but that's what it was. He was
so
in
like
it.
a Hunchback of Notre Dame type deal.
Yeah, I think it was a Hunchback of Notre Dame. That's what it was.
Okay, I'm okay with that. I'm not going to watch it.
No, I know, but I'm just saying, I don't care. I think just letting us randomly just pick stuff is fine. But for Halloween, it was different. We had to do.
I prefer, on Halloween we get in the spirit of that holiday. Christmas is too fucking commercialized for me, and
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm going to be like, oh, we're going to watch nothing but Christian films for the month of December, but I would rather watch anything but like Christmas consumerism films.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think that the chat has something to that, like, the Nightmare Before Christmas and you know,
yeah,
what was that new movie that came out recently with Mel Gibson and he was
which
Santa
one?
Claus?
The Santa Claus, or there's a movie with with him playing Santa, and then there's another movie with Kurt Russell playing Santa, and
Yeah,
it's
there
like
was
they're
the
talking to each
one
other.
with Mel Gibson playing Santa. He has a hitman, which is um, Walton Goggins is
Yes,
hired to kill him. And I love Walton Goggins. He's a really, really good actor, I think. And it's funny as hell. I saw the movie, but it was funny. But it's definitely not a ho, 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 Merry Christmas kind of movie. But I think that's what the chat seems to be wanting to watch, some Christmas movies. you
uh,
know, so I don't know, but
bro,
it
is
was
that
funny.
saying something about voice play singing the Oigi Boigi song? Oh God, we might have to do that. Not tonight, but we'll have to do that. We're running a little late here, and I don't want you guys to like miss too much sleep. But I do want to say that would that would be all right. We could watch some fractured Christmas movies. That'd be fine. Or Christmas horror themed Christmas films. That'd be good.
Yeah.
Next week we'll do a reaction to voice play singing the Oogie Boogie song. Balzette, send that to me on Discord, and I'll pin it to our conversation. Next week we will look at it. We'll do this. And Tommy says Kurt Russell's movie is called The Christmas Chronicles, which I'm going to put that down right now.
I haven't seen that one.
Whatever you do, Tommy says, whatever you do, there is no need to watch Jingle All the Way.
Well, Scrooge is a good one. It's been a long time since I've seen that one, but I loved it. It is a classic, I think.
It's got Christmas trees, Christmas lights. It's a freaking Christmas film.
And then what was that one? National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation?
Yes.
I mean, there's tons of movies like that are spoofs of Christmas, you know. So
okay,
I'm easy.
That sounds like a great plan for next week. I'm completely on board for this. The Wild Hogs it is, which I haven't seen it since my dad and I first watched it the first time. And
did your dad like it?
My dad howled in that movie. And
good. You need to invite him over and watch it with him again.
What I had my dad do recently was download Gilded, so we could have like what we did in Discord. I just don't trust Discord. I think one of these days Discord's going to see me streaming a movie, and there's like 10 or 15 people in a chat room somewhere, and Bruce, you're a band, and off I go.
Well, I've done it a few times, but I let someone else do it in my Discord, and we watched like there's a show, and it's got I think her Lisa Remy or something like. No, I can't remember what her name is, but she left Scientology. That actress.
Okay.
And we've been watching episodes of that show on there with 7 or 8 of us in there watching it at one time, and I haven't seen anything, so I don't know. I mean, it's not like we're charging money or anything. We're just watching it. So,
Six Nation 31 Kings asked, what movie is the one where Santa is a CIA spook? Our tradition, Shadow and Sun says, our tradition is to watch a classic Twilight Zone episode, Night of the Meek, which is amazing. Fuck yeah, that's like a classic. Good God.
What is a voice play? What does that mean?
I don't know. I'm kind of worried because Bowsette usually sends me down rabbit holes that half the time are fantastic and half the time are, oh God.
Let's see. I don't know. Is it? I mean, because I've been in some of the rooms, just like on Spaces on Twitter, where you can talk and discuss things. I do that a lot on Twitter. Now, I haven't done it yet in my Discord because, I don't know what anybody would want to talk about. But if somebody comes up with something, we can go in there and talk. That'd be great.
I love the voice aspects of Discord and Gilded. I think that's fan-freaking-tastic. I think it's great. You don't have to have, there's not a paywall to have you do it. You just get in there. You say, hey, we're voice chatting over here. And if you want to host a 25-person game of D&D, you can do that. If you want to have just like a private, intimate conversation with you and a friend, you can do that. My cousin Nicole and her mom are using Discord to talk.
Yeah, you can go in there and have 6 or 7 people all video chat, just like if you're on a YouTube channel, and just talk to each other, and just discuss whatever,
Fair enough. So, okay, about that answered my question. Voice Play is an a cappella group. So looks like Six Nation 31 Kings has agreed with Shadow and Sun about Night of the Meek, and it's like every damn time I watch it, you don't have a soul if you can't watch that without getting misty-eyed. It's really good. And if you're not familiar with it, Jan, I'll have to show you that one of these days because it's an absolutely amazing episode of Twilight Zone. Nightmare Before Christmas was mentioned. Yes, you really can't go. Either you talk about that during Halloween or you talk about that during Christmas.
Oh, he's talking about the whole thing about the Ukrainian and trafficking. Yes, it's called Shadow. It's called, that's what you were talking about that day. It's called The Eyes of the Devil.
Hmm.
And it's really hard to watch. So, but even though almost every single person in it is blurred out, you only get to see the person that's doing the documentary. But uh, you're still gonna it's tough. So you're gonna probably I had to pause it like 4 times to be able to get through the whole thing, and I was real emotional. But I cry at the drop of a hat anyway. So, but it's really tough. But yeah, if once you watch it, you're gonna understand why I'm so passionate about it, and hopefully you can get other people to watch it and
Shadow
start
and Son
voicing
asked,
our opinion
is
about it.
it on, is Eyes of the Devil on YouTube?
Yes, but
Okay.
now they've taken it down and put it back up again. So
All right.
they keep fighting though. But I'm sure it's other places. I'm sure they have it other places, but that's where I have been able to watch it. A couple times I've watched it, but it's really tough. I'm just warning you.
There's another one called What We Do in the Shadows, which is another one that's like the Eyes of the Devil.
Mhm. It's really, yeah, it's tough.
Yeah. We are at the end of tonight's stream, only for the fact that we've not ran out of things to talk about, but I think for as far as like talking about the Last Starfighter, I think
Mhm. Yeah,
I don't want to say we've kicked the horse, but I don't want to kick the horse. I love this horse. I don't mind riding it every 6 months or every 8
yeah.
weeks, or I don't mind getting in here and watching this movie. This is a fantastic film. It's one of my favorites. Um,
It's a very good movie.
yeah. So
Yeah, and the quality of, Discord's, picture quality and stuff was excellent.
yeah, it is. That is.
So, I mean, I've been on Discord for quite a while. I told everybody that the reason I started Discord wasn't because I had my YouTube channel or anything yet. It was because I trade digital cards, and it's called Quid, and I'm a grandmaster on there because I have so many cards. And now you can sell them, for cash. They don't have the coins or anything anymore like they used to, and that's why I signed up for Discord, is to get on there with other people with digital cards and swap. We used to be able to swap them, but now you can't swap them anymore. You have to sell them. But that's why I set up my Discord, and then when I decided to do this whole thing with YouTube and TikTok and Instagram, I thought, well, I'm going to switch it up a little bit and change it and start doing it for my stuff. So that's why I have it.
Yeah, the screen sharing
Well,
talk.
let me know, Shadow, what you think about it, and maybe your wife will sit and watch it with you because it's very informative. It makes you. I've gotten in a couple of arguments with certain people in religion because I'm like, yeah, sitting down and praying a lot about it isn't helping. When you got a kid begging to die at 6 years old, begging you to kill it because they don't want to live this life anymore. So it's tough, but it's a reality that people are facing right now on this planet.
Janet, appreciate you streaming for me tonight. And
You're welcome.
I hope for those of you that are looking for things, let me put Janet's Discord out here because I think that would also be of use too. If you want to join her Discord, let me give you the key for that.
And you can also find me on Twitter, Janet from Another Planet.
There's Janet's Discord right there. And if you are seeking my Discord to have conversations with me and my friends and my tribe, a lot
Mhm.
of people vacillate between the two. There's your two Discords to come find us, talk to us. We do share a lot of videos of our friends and family that
Mm-hmm.
they're prolific creators. We want you guys to. We want you guys as creators. We want you to do what you're supposed to do. With if that means you're not being a quote unquote a creator on YouTube, you're being a tradesman, or you're being a retailer, you're being a stock boy, whatever you're doing, as long as you do it well and you're happy with it, you're getting to one of those good plateaus in life. If you're looking for something and where you're at, you're not happy, and you're not bad at putting together videos, you're not bad at doing various things. If people come to you for being a panelist because you've got a good voice, hail Adega Outlaw,
Mm-hmm.
creator of the Evolution novel. If you're looking to do something because where you're at you're not happy with, I can't recommend you enough to just, no matter what you've got going on, try to learn something new. Try to listen to what other people have to say. Follow successful people and don't stop learning. You might fail. You might fail 30 times.
Mm-hmm.
It took me
Never give up.
it took me 13 years to get 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. And I think there might have been some bot play with that. And if there was, I apologize. I didn't volunteer for that. I didn't ask for it. But it took me 13 years to get over 1,000 subscribers. I really curated a lot of things. I wasn't friendly to a lot of people. I'm not what YouTube's looking for. But I still got up to this number, and I'm still trying to grow. And even more importantly, is just a person I'm trying to grow. Not fatter, but I'm trying to grow as metaphysically. And as long as you guys do the same thing, as long as you put forth that effort, as long as you recognize when you stumble and fall, and you don't repeat that mistake, I think you're going to be fine. It's not going to be easy no matter what. So don't worry. It takes time. Hey, Shadow and Sun's almost at 500. Ooh, hold on, Shadow. Janet, did you want to say anything before we close out for the evening?
Just be yourself. Just stop trying to be what you think people want you to be, and just be you. If more people would do that, I think we'd all be happier. And if you're happier in your own life, then you'll be happier, and people want to be around you. You know what I mean? Uh, I don't know. That's what I try to do. I just try to be myself, and I try to love myself, and that's not always easy. It's tough sometimes because you look in the mirror. Sometimes you don't like what you see, and you don't know how to fix it or how to change it. So I just tell people to just try to just start liking yourself, like who you are, and other people will learn to like you too. That's it.
The last thing I have to share here is there's Shadow and Sons group right there, his little YouTube page, and go ahead and make him a big YouTuber. The guy's got a lot of good crafting videos. If you like special effects, if you like the things I like, if you're into sci-fi, fantasy, if you want to talk about D&D, he's got a great channel. And he brings his son out, and him and his son have good rapport with each other. They do a lot of good things. I don't want to say
Mhm.
community, but they do a lot of good things. And people that want to pay attention to what they're doing will often see things they're doing, be like, I could have done that. I could have used
Mhm.
for my diorama. And so if you're into crafting, I recommend Shadow and Sun. Also, if you like miniatures or sci-fi or RPGs, subscribe. It's a good channel. I am going to post in here. The last thing is a blurb for Mr. Adega Outlaw. He's written some books,
Mhm.
and they're getting the good reviews. That's the one, I believe. Evolution is first in his series, and Adega's got a good channel. He does a lot of reading. Got a good voice for this. I'm surprised he's not at 20,000 subscribers. He's just great. So we've got some good creators in our crew and our extended family here. And I know that I sound like a shill for my friends and the people I admire, but I'm just trying to be honest. I wish I had 24 hours a day just to sit on YouTube and listen. Janet,
Maybe one day you will be able to do that.
oh, I need a lot. I need to be having coffee in my mouth at all times. So that I don't want to do that yet. I still need to drive. Um, we will be here next week. Janet, that movie is Wild Hogs, correct?
Yep.
Be ready to ride, everybody. Thank you for
Yeah.
showing up for this evening.
Thank you for coming and listening to us ramble on about something we like. We love movies. So,
The last half hour is just like one big Minnesota goodbye.
yep.